So this is a story of my experience of using my ancient Rolleiflex medium format camera to shoot a few portraits while I was on assignment in Africa recently.
What we do here is go back.
So to give some background, I'm a professional photographer. I offered my services to a charity who are working out in Uganda. They needed some photographs and some video to showcase the work they're doing. We shot all of that digitally, and it's gone on to be used successfully to raise awareness and to raise some money for the charity. At the same time, I wanted to produce a set of portraits that had a very different feel to the digital work we were shooting. A bit of an experiment, really, just to see how it might work with kind of beginnings of an idea for a longer form project further down the line. I shot with my Rolleiflex twin lens reflex. I've had this for 30 years. It's a medium format film camera, and I shot with Ilford HP5 black and white film, which has always been my favourite film. I think if you unravelled my spinal column, you might find there's a roll of Ilford HP5 spiralling up inside it. I've just always liked the look of it. And it's a very different process shooting with a camera like this. It's much slower. It's, I only took 10 rolls of film, so that's only 120 frames. You get 12 frames on a roll. They're quite large negatives. They're 2¼ inch square negatives. So it focuses the brain. You can't machine gun with this camera. You have to be quite slow and methodical. I'm really pleased with the photographs. They have a very different feel to anything that I've shot digitally before. I'd really like to show them now. I'm just going to crack on and show them. So the individuals in the photographs have all come from backgrounds of extreme hardship and poverty, but due to a mixture of sheer determination and hard work and some assistance from the charity Amigos, they have turned their lives around and are now facing much brighter futures, and also are inspiring positive change in all of those around them. If you want to know any more, Google Amigos Worldwide and have a look at the work they're doing, and you can see some more of my photographs and some of the videos. And I'll put a link in the description below this video. I'm going to go on to talk about what it's actually like to shoot with one of these things in the real world. So I have had this camera for nearly 30 years. It was secondhand when I got it, so it's probably about 50 or 60 years old. They made a whole bunch of Rolleiflexes. This one's got the Tessar lens, which is a very characterful lens, as you've seen from the pictures. It's not the sharpest lens in the world, but you don't use a camera like this for critical sharpness. You use it for feel. And I think this camera has that in bucket loads. There's nothing automatic about this camera at all. It's purely manual. You put a roll of film in the back, there's no electronics, no battery, nothing like that. You put a roll of film in the back, you wind it on with this, and then you take your picture with your shutter release here. You control your shutter speeds and your apertures, and that's all the control that you've got. You focus with the knob on the side. You look down onto the ground glass screen to compose your image, and you've got a little flip up focus aid there which helps you get critical focus. That's it really. It's a fixed focal length lens, which is standard. So there's no wide option or telephoto option. It's pretty robust. There's very little to really go wrong with it. You have to get there's no means of measuring exposure, so you have to just input the settings manually. I just make a guesstimate. I grew up on 400 ISO film, so 9 times out of 10 I pretty much get it right. one of the big issues, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, depending on which way you want to look at it, is that you get very limited frames. So you're going to have to be very careful about the images that you take, which makes you very thoughtful. And then you come back from your shoot and you have some rolls of film, which you have to be very careful with. So they're much more vulnerable than, let's say, memory cards. So you have to be careful with your rolls of film. And then you need to have them developed. So you have to send them off, or you can do it yourself, but that is, unless you've got a nice setup, that can be a bit problematic and the results can be a bit inconsistent. So you probably have to send them off somewhere, and so it can be quite expensive and it takes quite a long time. And now it can be lovely because you get your pictures back and you haven't got to sift through thousands of files on your computer. It can be really lovely to have the time and the space to lay your prints out and to go through them and to make your edits. And on one hand, that's really nice. But on the other hand, it takes time and energy and money. And then you have to get your pictures digitized somehow. Now, you can do that at the lab, but again, that costs money. I digitize mine just by copying them with a digital camera and a macro lens on the Lightbox. And you get quite good results like that. Probably useful for 95% of end uses by doing it like that, and you can always then get a professional drum scan if you have one in particular that you wanted to blow up really big, let's say. The cost of all of that and the time and the hassle of all of that can outweigh all of the advantages, and I'm right on a knife edge at the moment like that with it. I really like the aesthetic of the pictures, I like the look of the pictures, and I like the process of working with it. I like how it makes the subjects feel, and I like the end results. I don't really like the cost and the hassle that is then involved in getting to an end stage of deliverables, and that can really get in the way if it's a tight deadline, for example. So it remains to be seen whether I'm going to continue to shoot with this or not. I'll keep it, you know, it is what it is. It will sit on the shelf for a bit. I'll use it for other things. But whether or not I use it for another assignment like this, I'm not sure. But thank you very much for watching. I really hope that I've put some kind of context into shooting with a medium format, old vintage camera on a real life assignment, and the advantages that you can get and the lovely feel you can get to your pictures, but also some of the negatives in terms of the cost and the time implications of working with a camera like this. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.